Hi, my name is Brian Bowman. I'm the founder and CEO of Consumer Acquisition. Today, we're going to talk about why the control video is so hard to beat with Facebook advertising. We hope you enjoy this session. We are a 7-year-old tech-enabled marketing services company with over $3 billion in paid social spend managed for both mobile apps, mobile games, and performance advertisers. We offer 3 standalone solutions. One is our creative studio, where we produce videos and images at scale. Second, we offer fully managed user acquisition services, where we'll do media buying on Facebook and Google. Last, we offer a platform for doing self-service buying on Facebook and Google. We believe what we're doing is very unique on the creative side, and we are both a Facebook and Google creative and ad tech partner. We're fortunate to have Mike Merrill as our creative director. He joined us from Disney Feature Animation. He has built a team of 2D and 3D storytellers. All of our editors are internal. We do not freelance any of the work that we're doing. We have seen that Facebook and Google are focused on driving the automation of user acquisition and simplifying and leveling the playing field between advertisers, big and small, through artificial intelligence. As UA is being automated, creative has become the unique differentiator for success. The challenge is it's really hard to beat the control video. Off to the right is a client with over 73 million in spend. The vertical axis is how much was spent per video. The horizontal axis is how many videos were tested for that client. As you can see, there's a vast majority of ads that fail. And fail means it did not outperform the best video in the portfolio. As a result, if you run it, you lose money. The math is roughly 1 out of 20 concepts, or about a 5% success rate or 95% failure rate. It's very difficult to beat the control video in Facebook creative testing. Just as a bit of context, we have done well over 10,000 A/B and multivariate tests. The insights we've drawn are specific to these scenarios and not a representation of how all Facebook testing performs on their platform. In cases, it's valuable to have old creative that retains learning to seamlessly A/B test without obstructing ad delivery. We have not tested this beyond the above verticals: gaming, e-commerce, entertainment, automotive, direct-to-consumer, and financial services. And we're sharing with you what we have found about our testing process and why we're doing it. To properly test creative on Facebook, the platform would like you to exit the learning phase. Off to the left is what it would require in the case of a game to reach statistical significance. If you assume you want to reach 95% stat sig, you have a 1% purchase rate, you'll need at least 100 purchases. And if your cost per purchase is around $200, every piece of creative you run will cost you $20,000. Most of our clients can't afford that, so we've put together an inexpensive solution. We call it growth hacking creative testing, using IPM, impressions per install. We can get to 95% stat sig, but we can do it for either $200 domestically or $20 internationally. Obviously, we didn't test hot dog dogs. We replaced the image here just to hide who the advertiser was. In November and December of 2019, we had produced 60 videos for our client. Now, statistically, we should have walked away with several winners. But in this example, all of the videos that we produced failed to outperform and beat the control video. Off to the right are the starting IPM values for this AA test. We decided to see if the way that we were testing had a flaw in it. We took the winning video, we cloned it 4 times, and we added a black pixel somewhere in the frame. The goal was to force Facebook to give it a new hash ID, and therefore we can compare the children and the primary video to see how they performed and were they similar. What you can see is The winning video, the dog in blue on the far right, lost to a child its exact clone by almost 150%. So that didn't make a bunch of sense to us, so we kept doing some testing. Again, off to the right, you see the initial starting IPM values. This was our aha moment after doing many tests. The dog in blue is a game, and off to the right are 5 gameplay videos that are visually very different from the control, the winning video. You'll notice on the right, the IPM, the initial starting value, is very low, 0 to 2%. However, the control had an IPM of 8. So why is that? What we came to realize is that in Facebook split testing, the creative always maintains its creative history. In essence, it's giving it an advantage with our IPM testing when you are not allowing all of the ads to get out of the learning phase and get into the optimized phase. It also appears, based on the tests that we have been doing, that Facebook can group together visually similar ideas that are close to the control, but a bit different. And it will give them a similar starting IPM value. That's the graph in the middle. However, when new creative is very different from the control, it doesn't share history, and the IPMs start much lower. That's the graph on the far right. It requires more time and more money to warm up these new ideas. So let's walk through some of the scenarios and how we test creative now. We currently break our testing into 3 unique phases. In the first phase, we do IPM testing, impressions per install. We create a split test on Facebook, usually using between 3 to 5 creatives, always running with mobile app install bidding. Because of this new process, we never put the control video inside of that split test. We want to make sure that the spend is evenly spread across the test creatives, so one doesn't have an advantage over the other. We normally put between $200 to $400 per ad if you are running in English-speaking countries, Tier 1, or if you're looking to save money, you can run $20 to $40 per ad in India. Now, the targeting, we try to really restrict things so that we can normalize what's going to come out of the IPM test. As you can imagine, Facebook Audience Network has a very different click-through rate than does the newsfeed. So, and iOS or Android have very different click-through rates. So normally we will choose either iOS or Android, run it only in the Facebook newsfeed using a 10% lookalike audience. We will choose a seed audience for that lookalike that is normally the past 90 days installers or the past 90-day payers. Point is to try and get some intent going. That'll give us an audience reach somewhere around the neighborhood of 20 million users. If you're using India, we highly recommend that you use broad targeting, but filter it for English speakers only. And we would encourage you to explore other countries with inexpensive CPMs. The goal here is to try and drive install volume to around 100 installs. If it's a very expensive, high CPM scenario, you can generate less. You will have less of a confidence at the end. And so below are a few of the number breakdowns. 100 installs for 70% confidence, 160 installs for 80% confidence, or 270 installs should give you roughly 90% confidence. What we like to do is run with a lifetime budget in the US or a tier 1 country between $500 to $1,000 to get that 70% confidence. Or if you're in India, you can lower it pretty dramatically to $20 or $100, depending on the amount of confidence that you're looking for. What's fascinating is that we have found very little difference between the US and India in the relative separation of IPMs, meaning even with cultural sensitivities and humor being different, we have found that running tests, creative tests, in India produce valid results. The goal of this is to take one or two winners from this phase, the IPM phase, out to the second phase and kill the rest. Basically, don't waste money prior to testing for ROAS. So this is the IPM phase. Next, we'll go into the initial ROAS. So we'll take those one or two winners from the phase 1 IPM test, and then we'll run them using Facebook's AEO or VO bidding methodology. So app event optimization or value optimization. The structure that we're using is we'll create a brand new campaign. We're going to keep that challenger away from the control until it has the ability to exit the learning phase. The goal is you don't want those two to compete when the challenger has not reached statistical significance. So we'll run one ad set with the IPM winners from phase 1. We'll keep a new campaign for the new IPM winners for other rounds of testing. Targeting, we'll use the US, bring that back to a 10% payer lookalike audience, run it with auto placement, either on Android or iOS. Again, feel free to explore other countries, for example, South Africa, if the cost of CPMs are lower, but the monetization rate is similar. You can reduce your overall testing budgets. So the lifetime budget, if you're running in the US, is between $1,000 and $3,000 to give you a valid test to determine not only can that high IPM ad produce good clicks, but will it also monetize? This will take you to the third and final phase. This is where you really want to see, will those ads scale and will they produce sustained long-term values? We use campaign budget optimization, CBO. We create a new ad set and we roll them out to target the audiences that have produced good results for the control video. The new ad set for creative winners from the different testing rounds, right? From test 1 to test 2, and now moving it into test 3, keeping them isolated so that the control and the champion don't mix. However, once the challenger has exited the learning phase and it has proven itself to be a good potential new champion, that's when you can start mixing the two. So with all of this hard work, we ran into a couple of challenges with some interesting results. Every time we failed, we would send the creative team in a different direction and had them running around trying to uncover new ideas. Oftentimes, we were producing poor results, telling them that things had failed when in fact they did win. When we went back and retested, 17% of the time, the creatives that we threw away actually did beat the control when the control was eliminated from the test. Financially, it produced a 29% lift in overall return on ad spend, and it helped the creative team pull back those new ideas to test them once more. In the case of new creatives, we are now seeing in the neighborhood of 10 to 15% success rate with this new testing methodology. So well above consistently the 5% success rate or 95% failure rate that we have seen in the past. The result of that is a blended net lift on average of 21% in ROAS. Well, now that you know our suggestions for how to test creative, we frequently get asked the question, how many creatives do you need based on the media spend? So we put together this chart. It ranges from $75,000 a month in Facebook or Google spend all the way up to $2 million. You'll see this name, we call it a creative point. All videos are not treated the same. Some videos are very difficult to do, like rigged 2D character animation, while others are simply just a headline change. So depending on the complexity of the work, you'll see that you'll need more or less creative to go through the system. The next question we're always asked is, how do we internal go about optimizing our creative? What is our process? So we always begin with a creative audit. We'd like to understand what's working for an advertiser, what's failing, and why. We certainly want to go into green fields and try new ideas. We don't want to repeat the same successes or the same failures. We always do a competitor audit, and we'll talk about that on the next screen. We then do a deep dive on the assets. What's new? What are new levels? What are themes? What's coming out that's important to the client? If player profiles or personas are available, we'll ingest them and we'll take all 4 of those elements and put together a creative strategy. From that creative strategy, individual creative briefs are written, and then once launched, we let the data drive the decision. Regardless of how you start doing your creative testing, it is important to know that your competitors are failing at 95% too. We like to think of using Sensor Tower's creative research capabilities along with Facebook ad library and look for new trends, things that are going on right now that's hot and different, like connect the dots or puzzles or influencer videos. We then take those themes and we put on top of them the assets from the advertiser. From there, we then take and try and create this portfolio of new ideas. And if you think of it this way, if you can take the best ideas from your competitors, it provides you with an endless supply of tested concepts. And the last thing is a show special. So we would like to help make working from home a little bit easier. Our ad rules, creative research, trends, and competitive benchmarks, along with our full Facebook and Google media buying platform, is now free until July 31st. Thank you very much for the time. We hope you've enjoyed the talk. If I can answer any questions, please feel free to email me, Brian@consumeracquisition.com. Thank you very much.